So Hitachi is, a large global company with 800 brands and a lot of different things we do. And therefore, we've encountered all three parts of this problem, right? So there's part one of the problem where you are exploding. The Zooms of the world, snacking companies, right? They're at 25, 30% growth. And now they've got to think about scale in terms of doing that within weeks. Then there's the other side of the equation where you're a movie theater or a theme park or a stadium where it's, groups of people to which now don't congregate, and therefore you have zero revenue. You've got to deal with that. Then there's the ones in the middle, like CPG, where they've had to change their model. Instead of getting their products to stores, it's now getting their products to homes. And how do they shift? And all of that requires a pretty distinct difference business model and distinct difference in the technology model. And we've sort of seen those aspects, and we've had to, in many ways, rebalance those portfolios. Like manufacturing, we've had to do less manufacturing for some, but that's created new opportunity to manufacture PPE for others. We've had an impact to financial services because people aren't getting mortgages, as an example, because they're not buying properties, and therefore we focus more on financial services. And of the things that require stadium size involvement, then we've had to redirect our effort to sort of logistics and supply chain management. So there are massive digital transformation changes in each one of those categories. And some are thriving, they're making tons of money, and some are suffering dramatically.
Really, my last 2 years have been about, developing a technology infrastructure so that they can go digital, launching a Go Digital program so that we can interact with our customers digitally. I mean, we still have a lot of customers. 50% of our business is with mom and pop shops across Canada, outside of the big home hardwares, Loblaws, Save-On Foods. Some of them will still fax us their orders. They're never going to go away. But I have seen in our showrooms and our facilities over the last 2 years that the aging demographic, a lot of people are handing their businesses down to their kids, grandkids are getting involved, and they want to be digitally connected. They only know how to be engaged digitally, so it really hasn't changed much.
Yeah, in terms of stuff that we've reprioritized in light of what's been going on, as we were well into our digital transformation, but in terms of some areas, we've really sought out some places that have maybe been slow to adopt some of the digital processes, maybe mostly due to inertia, and then tried to pull those forward. So an example for us, most of our payments from our brokers were still sort of check-based with documents for reconciliation. We had a plan to use a tool to help make that more digital, and we pulled that forward by months and increased the scope. And so we've been able to launch that product for our brokers, such that they can now basically make any payment to us through a digital means, through a specialized payment solution called ClearPay, which has been great. So it was one of those ones that was kind of scheduled for sometime kind of 2020, and we kind of got done in 3 weeks because it needed to be done. Similarly, we're starting to rethink, looking a little bit further out, some of the tougher areas in digital that have been difficult to really do. So things like digital identity is now a big topic. So doing things like customer onboarding, meeting like KYC and AML type requirements for transactions, whether that's through what you think of like an e-commerce digital solution, or even in physical office spaces, right, for our brokers. How do you collect things like driver's licenses and passports in a world where passing physical documents back and forth may not be really desirable going forward? So we're looking at software solutions for things around identity to really round out and get to a truly sort of 100% digital experience. So trying to take out any of those remaining roadblocks from doing things in a 100% digital manner. Even face to face, there's still going to be a digital component to it when you're 2 meters away.
What we've been trying to spend some time around are the tools that help us with solution design or brainstorming, just design sessions. And we found a couple, one in particular called Nereva. I don't know if you've ever used it, but it allows people to use their phone to scan a QR code when you've been given a question, and then post your response to that QR code gets a sticky on a board. So for all of those types of visual boards, some of you were part of one of our CIO roundtables. We sat in our innovation lab, and there's stickies all over the place. It gives you the opportunity to recreate that sticky environment and that sticky experience. So check that one out if you haven't found something similar that's useful to you. And if you've got other tools, I'd love to hear them.
So one of the important things that we've been looking at is the household flow. I mean, the technology is there, the use of the technology is there, but I think with kids at home, people taking care of elderly parents, et cetera, and people have meals to make for those who can't fend for themselves, it created a bit of a collision with a lot of the schedules that we normally keep at the office. So allowing that empathy to sort of come forward and allow us to reschedule our day to help fit that in, because this has been going for a couple of months. It's going to go for a bit longer as well, especially over the summer with camps being closed as well, right? So we're still going to have a requirement to possibly leave teams at home if and when we can move back into the office. So I think that's important. Some of the other tools that we use the G Suite tools, so we use all the digital tools, and we use Jamboard for whiteboard sessions. But from some employee perspective, we have some very tactile. We sell product, so it's very tactile. So the people have asked us, is there a way to do this and have an interaction with our own customers around this? So we've added some new tools and bolted on some tools from many of the marketplaces to help employees, and we haven't hesitated to do that. And some employees have brought some very good ideas to us around that. We, of course, have offered deeply discounted home office furniture for them to make sure they have a good surface. TechnionStore.com, just as a commercial moment, if anybody's interested. Having the right surface to work on is important, and depending, multi-monitors, right? And I think that's been very key for some people, because some people have very small places or very big places and haven't made accommodations for that. So making that offer, I think, has been very helpful as well. And I think being sort of also keeping normal schedules. I mean, we've had many things scheduled. We had training scheduled in our calendars for people. We kept that training, just turned into virtual training. We have a cloud-based training, education, and learning management system engine. People had scheduled, and we said you have to keep that going. Projects we kept going. Of course, we're all concerned about liquidity and looking at what we have to stop doing as we look towards the rest of this year. But the projects that were in process and the decisions and purchases that we had decided to make, we kept going to create that sense of normalcy for people in a time when everything seems abnormal. So I think that's really, and again, a lot of the stuff everyone else has done as well.
You know what? I think there's the saying that don't let a good crisis go to waste. We started down a journey of using Teams about a year ago, just as a part of our transformation. Wow, we could get zero adoption for our organization other than IT. And since the crisis has happened, everyone's on Teams and using it to get all their all their projects moving forward and all their initiatives moving forward. One of the other things that we did use is we started down the Agile route a year ago. I know it's a little late for some organizations, but it was something that took a little bit of convincing from our executive team. And because of DevOps and our ability to use Azure DevOps, we're easily able to track all the efforts everyone's doing. Daily stand-ups are now virtual versus in person. You can see the backlog, you groom them all virtually, you collaborate all virtually. So that has helped us considerably in managing our projects going forward. Now, if we can get past the SAP hurdle, which is everything is pretty much still waterfall, I think we're well on our way to being virtual in our project management.